Welcome to Strip Cover Lit. I'm Adrian Ford.
And I'm Dalton Gentry.
And we're here with another tag
video. This time we're doing a tag we've been tagged in.
Why do you have to do that?
I don't know. It feels right. This tag comes from Josh over at Literary Gladiators. Definitely link down below. We love Josh. Wealth of knowledge. Make sure you go give him a check. I'm assuming most people are familiar with Josh at this point.
Has to be.
We keep pushing him in all of our videos because we like him. This is the pasta tag. I love noodles. I love carbs. Is that as a parent, I assume? So let's talk noodles.
Let's talk noodles.
Mac and Cheese, the most heartfelt work that you've ever read.
For me, this is Now is the Hour by Tom Spanbauer.
Okay.
Wow, I have never read a piece that put me in those places, and there is a turn in the novel that I think most readers will see or at least feel coming, and it's gorgeous, just gorgeous.
I don't read a lot of biographies, but one that stuck with me is Kiss Me Like a Stranger by Gene Wilder.
Which is actually memoirish?
It's memoirish, yes, and this is one we've actually both read, which is really weird because we never read the same things.
Especially prior to knowing each other.
Gene Wilder's relationships, and his relationship especially with Gilda. It is Gilda, isn't I'm saying that right?
Yes.
That is heart-wrenching, and I think is very applicable to this question.
Yes, and everything in there is not only heart-wrenching, but also heartfelt.
Absolutely.
In a way that only Gene Wilder can convey, it seems.
The sad clown. Yeah. Every good comedian. Number 2, Spaghetti and Meatballs, a work that you know inside and out.
Now, I took the liberty of putting some short stories in here.
Okay.
Because we're trying to push short stories as well as poetry. Hills Like White Elephants by Ernest Hemingway.
Beautiful.
I wrote so many papers on this in college that I hate to say that I am fed up with the piece, but...
you fed up with the piece?
Did you get the pun there? Fed up.
Statler and Waldorf, ladies and gentlemen. I selected Lord of the Rings. I read Lord of the Rings every September. I'm going to convince you eventually to read Lord of the Rings.
I don't think so.
It's a beautiful piece. I feel like I've read it so many times, but there's so much. It's so dense. It's beautiful. Thank you, Tolkien. Number 3, Lasagna, a work filled with complex layers.
Again with the short stories, and again to pump the same short stories. The Chrysanthemums by John Steinbeck. Just go through it. If you haven't read it, read it. Every sentence in there holds some type of weight. And it is not some type of meaning, it is weight.
Ironically, with the lasagna question, when we're talking about complex layers, we both picked our favorite short stories. I have Hills Like White Elephants. Because again, you can reread it at any point in your life, and you are going to find some other flake, some other layer that touches you. It's always different. So it's so complex. It's beautiful. Stuffed Shells. This is a work that is attention-grabbing from start to finish.
A Man Without a Country by Kurt Vonnegut. We did a review on this for the channel, and it is sort of an alternately written piece.
Okay.
Like it is not written in the mainstream fashion. It is not a direct narrative, but there is something on every page which will tug at you in a certain way.
Okay. I went with Anthony Burgess, A Clockwork Orange, one of my favorite books, because the first page, it slaps you in the face because Burgess wrote it in his own language. Nad Sad, which is slangy English with a bunch of made-up words, and I've said this many times, you read halfway through it not having a clue what he's talking about, and then it just clicks, and the words start to make sense. It's just beautiful. Very much an attention grabber. Penne Vodka, a work for a younger audience with an adult theme hidden inside.
You know, I think there's a lot of layers to a lot of when you talk about children's books and books for younger readers, and You know, when I was younger, I read a lot of.
Just say it.
Fuck it, Harry Potter.
Oh, it finally came forward. Thank you.
Shut up.
Thank you, Internet. You've created this. I went with the Lorax, Dr. Seuss. That's super young readers, but there's a lot of adult themes there, and that's one that's always been coupled for introducing a very young reader to an adult theme. So,
okay.
I'm okay with that. Elbow Macaroni, a work that is easy to read.
Persuasion Nation by George Saunders. Now, this is a collection of short stories, but you can get through it in a couple sittings. And I won't say you won't miss anything reading them fast, because absolutely you will. You'll need to reread them. But I mean, everything in there is easily palatable.
Okay.
And when you make it through the collection, you have a palate for George Saunders.
All right. I went with Harry Potter, not just because I wanted to bring Harry Potter back into conversation, but I think it's a very easy and approachable read, and it's enjoyable, and there's a lot to it. And Adrian just admitted that Harry Potter has layers.
I didn't say they were good layers.
Farfalle? Farfalle. Bowtie pasta. A work you would read to catch someone's attention.
I imagine that this is the only reason that anyone ever reads James Joyce. I can't fathom it's not my taste.
That's the big one, though. That's one you always want to read as a lit major, and you're like, oh,
and you're ashamed to admit that you haven't read it,
yeah.
even if you were supposed to have read it for a class.
That's 90% of the books I was supposed to have read. I went A Brief History of Time, because other than you, no one has actually read that book. They just use it solely to gain attention and for people to make them think that they're smart.
I attempted to read that.
That'll hurt your brain.
Before I finished, I attempted 3 times in high school to read that. And the beautiful thing about Stephen Hawking is that he is able to break things down to which even an idiot high schooler like I was an idiot in high school, you're able to comprehend bits and most of what is being told to you. But it is so overwhelming. I fell asleep every time I tried.
Yeah.
Not out of boredom, out of sheer overload. Like when your laptop gets going with too many things, I imagine you're a gamer, you pull up too many games and all of a sudden, shuts down. That book will kill you.
I agree. I agree.
Books on tape in the car, don't do that one. Books on tape, listen to me.
The deadly.
Audio books.
You know, most people don't even have audiobooks like on CD anymore. It's all media files. Yeah, my car doesn't even have a CD player anymore.
I'm like 4 generations behind.
Noodles. A long work that was a great experience to read.
These are masterful questions to pair with things, by the way, Josh.
They are.
Good job with that.
They are.
Very impressive. What was it again?
A long work that was a great experience to read.
It by Stephen King.
Okay.
It's 1,090 pages. I am not the biggest Stephen King fan. While I was reading it, I was sort of bemoaning it because it kills your entire readerhood until you finish it. But there are so many intertwined things going on in that bowl of noodles that it's an incredibly impressive feat for an author to have pulled off.
Okay.
And I can't imagine what the editing process is on a 1,090-page book.
Hell.
Yes.
Hell.
Absolutely.
My long work that was a great experience to read was On the Road. Not particularly long, but the most dragging, painful read that I've ever read.
It's about 300 pages, but they're the longest 300 pages you'll ever see.
Was it a good experience? Yes. I've conquered it. I've climbed that mountain.
I am man.
I will not say any more about On the Road. Lo Mein. This is your favorite Eastern Lit, work of Eastern Lit, or about the East.
I've mentioned this several times on the channel. The Tale of Genji by Lady Murasaki, a meandering tale of a philandering male. I think that there is depth in that piece that's... What?
I sincerely hope someone who is not familiar with that is like on Amazon right now. Tale of Genji, philandering tale about a meandering male.
You ruined that.
I think so. Is that what it is? A meandering tale about a philandering male, whatever.
I don't even know if the other way works.
But anyway.
But yeah, I think that I want to go back to that at some point.
Okay.
And I would like to... It is one of speculatively one of the first novels ever written.
Yes.
And it was written by a woman.
Yes. Just please don't say you want to review it for the channel, because then we have issues.
Coming the 1st of June.
Oh, God, no. I chose, because I was a little apprehensive on this, I went generically with the answer of Tao Te Ching, which I haven't read in its entirety. I picked up, and it's one that I leaf through because it's just short little snippets.
Yes.
However, if we can say that Persian lit is considered Eastern, I want to go with the Conference of the Birds. I don't think a lot of people have read that one. At its simple plot form, a bunch of birds get together and decide who's going to be the leader. There's a lot of philosophy going on there.
Okay.
That's what it's disguised as. It's beautiful. So that would be my low main. Ditalini? Ditalini. This is a writer you feel is essential to a particular genre.
Now, I'm sorry that I turned around then, but it just occurred to me that I have the perfect quote.
Okay.
For my explanation of this, but I chose Bret Easton Ellis because he is today's literati.
Okay.
And in my many conversations here on YouTube, I have come across people who don't understand Bret Easton Ellis or don't like Bret Easton Ellis, or say they're not sure they got anything from the experience. Let me give you a quote from Anton Chekhov. The writer's task is not to solve the problem, but to state the problem correctly. And I think that is something that Bret Easton Ellis does extremely well. Bret Easton Ellis, look, we were big fans of Fight Club.
Yes.
There are a lot of answers in Fight Club, right?
Yes, there are.
More problems than answers, but that's what literature is supposed to do. Bret Easton Ellis, I don't think, ever gives a convincing answer for anything. But he raises a lot of the right questions. And he raises a lot of the right questions for the format and for the characters that he is using.
I went with Stephen King. Because if there is a man...
It's a bit of a cop-out.
...who has defined a genre in modern times, it's Stephen King.
Through 174 novels.
If you want to write horror, you will read Stephen King.
Yes.
Because that's what everybody wants to be. They want to just get his table scraps. So that's mine.
One question I often ask myself about Stephen King, though he is still active, is he at the point in literature where other stories can be referential to his works and it does not seem like pandering?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Give it time, though. Give it time. A fun question now. What is your favorite pasta?
I'm a sucker for some chicken Alfredo.
I'm going to go pretentious.
Of course.
When I was in Italy,
of course.
The landlords that we rented the apartment above them.
The landlords that we were living above.
Yes, the peasants. The older mother of the family made a homemade family recipe. It was a lasagna of types. The noodles were eggplant instead of noodles. Just absolutely delicious. And that's my answer.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. You just wouldn't understand it. And finally, Sunday night at Grandma's. Who are we going to include in this tag?
I would like to start with Jesse from Rebel Reads.
I would like to go with Claire, the book fox.
Okay.
Your move.
Monse.
We
need to get your take on this.
And finally, I'm going to shoot this towards Max at Well Done Books.
Okay.
Pasta book tag.
You're pretentious.
I'm hungry now. I wish Olive Garden was open. I want to hurt myself on food.
Hungry and pretentious.
You can't get any better than that.
So, if you like what we do here, or if you like seeing us embarrass ourselves in front of the entire internet, probably hit the subscribe button.
If you would like hipster pandering and me talking about being a lover of carbs and delicious food, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Facebook at StripCoverLit and on Twitter at StripCover.